Let's go ahead and call the Circleville City Council meeting to order. It is Tuesday, May the 6th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Melissa, could you do the roll call, please?
Keller.
Here.
Hedges.
Here.
Tice.
Here.
Plitzka.
Here.
Hallinan.
Here.
Moats.
Here.
Lukasak.
Here.
Duval.
Here.
If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father,
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Council, you should have received a copy of the past Circleville City Council meeting on April the 15th, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Is there a motion to approve? So moved by Sherry Tice, seconded by Audrey Lukasak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Reports from council members or committee reports. Does any council member have a report? Katie Hedges, Finance Chair.
Thank you, President Keller. I would like to announce we have another finance meeting at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 27th, which is a continuation of the budget cut discussion.
Thank you very much. Chair, Strategic Planning Chair.
Thank you, President Keller. I would like to announce that we will have a strategic planning meeting on June 10th at 7 o'clock. We will have Tim Colburn here with P3 to discuss economic development in the city. And I know our planner has put together a really nice slideshow detailing all the developments and what stage they're in. And so it's going to be good information. I'd like to invite all the council members to attend,
Okay.
as well as the public.
Sure. Anyone else? Anyone else down here? No? Great. Thank you very much. Reports of city officials that are here tonight as council's guests. We have Auditor, Law Director, and Mayor. Mark, you have a report? Law Director Ken Rakim.
President Keller, at this time, I do not have anything.
Mayor Michelle Blanton.
Thanks. I just have a couple of things. Since your last council meeting, the administration and members of the FFA at Circleville City Schools were able to participate in Arbor Day. We planted some trees out at Barthelmess Park around the new pickleball courts and around the basketball court. So we're really excited about how that park is what it's turning into, and also want to publicly thank the students from Circleville High School for participating in that. As mentioned, we do have an ordinance on the agenda this evening for an annual appropriation for a series of budget cuts. This is the first in a series of conversations that will need to be had between the administration and city council. And that is the end of my report.
Great. Thank you very much, Michelle. Is there any questions for the elected officials that are here tonight? No? All right. That brings us to the portion of tonight's meeting where the public can address city council. Anyone is welcome to come to the podium. You will have up to 5 minutes to speak. The clerk will ask for your name and your address. Your comments will be recorded, and she will keep track of your time. So anyone like to come up and speak to city council? Gentleman's requested to speak. Give us your name and your address, please.
I'm Dane Smythe from Ringgold Fairfield Road, Circleville.
Great. Thank you very much. And you've given us some handouts to have us to look at.
Yes, so I was here a year ago, pretty much this time, to talk about the option for a railroad crossing. And so this time I'm talking about the same project, just to put it in your thoughts, but not so much as the proposed railroad crossing, but more because this past year, it sounds like Circleville, you guys have passed or approved multiple developments in the north end. So hundreds of new homes are being built. So now we need to start thinking about the future of how to get those people to the south end where all the businesses are. So yeah, you have the whole railroad crossing part. That's part of it. But but you still have a lot of people and even hundreds and hundreds more that are down the road. We got to forward think and get them to the south end. And the idea, like I said a year ago, is it's a very simple thing, is to extend State Route 188 Northridge Road over to 23. And so Highland Avenue, and my little map there, I've kind of drawn it out. Highland Avenue falls right in line with that. And so therefore, it's not even like you're creating new roads, you're just widening an existing space. One side of the road is barely developed, has some low income houses there that would have to be purchased, and then also the new transportation department building. But anyway, so Highland Avenue is just a straight shot across there, and then you put in an exit ramp at the bridge that's at the sheriff's station, and now you have gotten all the congestion out of downtown. The other thing I noticed a few weeks ago is that now we even have no semis are allowed to turn onto Main Street from Court Street. So you got to start thinking forward and figure out how to get that traffic that direction. Well, this is a perfect opportunity, because then even during Pumpkin Show, you're getting all the west side traffic to Lancaster and not even touching a city street. And so then the other part of this, the other benefit to all this, is that you're connecting the three emergency entities, the hospital, the fire department, and the sheriff's station, are all within seconds of US 23. So it's like this idea, and I realize that this is not just a city project. This would involve ODOT and I don't know who else, but you guys would know that far better than me. But it's like, I'm not saying that this has to start tomorrow, but I think as we start to grow and you start to develop and develop and develop, it's time now to start forward thinking as to how to make that happen. And to me, this seems to be the perfect solution. Now, a year ago, I was told that by Jim Stanley that the idea had been brought up, but that ODOT turned it down because the two exit ramps would be too close together, meaning 22. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but we can't let ODOT dictate the growth of a city. I mean, that's when you start making deals or working around it, just figuring it out and stuff like that. You need to start writing grants and so on and so forth. But the other part of this, I'm kind of backtracking, but the other benefit is, like during Pumpkin Show, now you've got all the Columbus traffic that is got a place to go. You can get them into the Ted Lewis Park very easily. The other part of this is that we all know that the North Court Street onto 23 ramp is just accident central. It was my son's first accident up there. And so this would relieve a lot of that. And so I just think it needs to start being put into action. And then, as I put it, the last little line here, the other benefit to building that and putting a nice bridge across there, which is already there, but then you could even do the something above that bridge as a city sign. We have no city signs like a lot of cities have. So even Waverly, you go into Waverly, you have a big welcome to Waverly sign. Circleville has no welcome to Circleville signs. And so as we grow, we need to start thinking forward. That's all I got.
Thank you for your comments, and I will make sure these get handed to the administration. They have a copy as well, and I appreciate you coming to City Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All righty. Let's do any communications.
We have 3 pieces. The first is Circleville City Council will hold a public hearing Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in council chambers located in the City Hall Building, 127 South Court Street, 2nd floor, Circleville, Ohio, 43113. The public hearing will be to hear the following requests. Zoning amendment rezoning number 125 as requested by Circleville Investment Group LLC, located at parcel ID A050410000300 to rezone IE Innovation and Employment to MUR multi-unit residential. Circleville City Council will hold a public hearing Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 at 6:45 in council chambers located in the City Hall Building at 127 South Court Street, 2nd floor, Circleville, Ohio, 43113. The public hearing will be here to hear the following request. 3 text amendments to Chapter 1129, Table 2 of the Official Zoning Code of the City of Circleville are are also proposed. A copy of the planning and zoning meeting minutes, map, and pertinent data regarding the proposed changes are on file and available for public inspection at the Circleville Planning and Zoning Office at the City Administration Building. The second piece of communication was a letter received from the mayor's office congratulating Mr. Lane Hufford on his appointment to the Circleville Records Commission. And the third piece of communication was from AEP Ohio. They sent a formal notice informing the city of Circleville that they intend to file an application to adjust distribution rates with the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio next month. Details regarding AEP's proposal are available on the Commissioner's electronic docket in assigned case number 25-0392-EL-AIR.
Thank you very much. Council, those are the three communications the clerk has. Can I have a motion to accept those and place them on file? So moved by Katie Hedges, second by Jeff Hallinan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. That brings us to the portion of the meeting we deal with our legislation. We have several pieces of legislation up for first reading. So Melissa, go right ahead.
An ordinance authorizing the city of Circleville City Council to enter into an Ohio Archives grant agreement with the Ohio Historic Records Advisory Board to provide grant funds for the city of Circleville and declaring an emergency.
Council, you've heard the first reading of this ordinance.
Thank you, President Keller. This came out of our meeting on April 29th. This was in response to a lot of work that Melissa, our clerk, did to apply for a $5,000 grant that would help offset some of the costs associated with our record-keeping project. That was something that we had identified in 2024 that we needed to address. We were awarded that grant, so this came with a recommendation for passage from us.
Anyone else? Is there a motion?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Katie Hedges, seconded by Tom Duval. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend council rules.
Hedges,
Yes.
Tice,
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukastak.
yes,
Duval.
Yes.
Counselor, free to act on the order.
Motion for passage.
Motion for passage by Katie Hedges, seconded by Jeff Hallinan. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges,
Yes.
Tice,
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukastak.
yes,
Duval.
Yes.
The ordinance passes.
And is assigned 5/38/2025. An ordinance amending the annual appropriation ordinance in the general fund 101 of the city of Circleville.
Council, you've heard the first reading of this ordinance, again from the Finance Committee. Katie?
Thank you, President Keller. So this was referenced by the mayor in her report. This was a housekeeping ordinance that we evaluated during that April 29th meeting. It resulted in a $839,163.38 return to the budget. About almost 300,000 of that was in true return. A majority of it was returning costs associated with positions that have not been filled yet this year. But it did, like I said, result in almost an $840,000 return to line 101. Yeah. Mayor, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I just wanted to refer everybody to the spreadsheet that was given with it. It explains all of those. If you have specific questions about that, feel free to ask them. I can try to provide a response to those, or if you want to follow up with those, please feel free to stop by the office. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. I also asked the clerk to provide a list of all city funds with how the revenue in those funds is brought into the city, and an explanation of what they can be spent on. And then as well as how those funds are governed, whether it's something that's created by Ohio Revised Code or whether it's something that was created by a city ordinance. So you should all have that in your mailbox, and then it will be also put on your drive for your review.
Thank you. And one thing I would point out, I misspoke earlier, was $340,361 were cuts specifically related to the levy not passing.
All right. Any other comments? Motion?
Motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules by Katie Hedges, seconded by Sherry Tice. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend the rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukastak.
yes,
Duval.
Yes.
Council?
Motion for
Motion.
Motion for passage by Jeff Hallinan, seconded by Sherry Tice. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukastak.
yes,
Duval.
Yes.
The ordinance passes.
It is assigned 5/39/2025. An ordinance amending the annual appropriation ordinance in the general fund 101 State Highway Improvement Tax Fund, 204 City Permissive Motor Vehicle Tax Fund, 205 Waterworks Operating Fund, 808 Sanitary Sewer Operating Fund, 909 of the City of Circleville.
Council for first reading of this ordinance, again from the Finance Committee. Katie?
Thank you, President Keller. This one also was a housekeeping ordinance that addressed a couple of different items specific to 101, also a Parks and Recs role, and then the State Highway Improvement Tax Fund reduced that line by $43,250. Mark, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, just the biggest things were the court contributions that were sent for the upgrade of the municipal court, and also there was some public donations for movies in the park that we'll be doing this year at Ted Lewis.
Thank you. So the total was $138,800. $130,000 of that was the court contribution, as Mark lined out. And then there were a couple of lines that were kind of a pass through for some correct payroll accounts issues that had happened. And that is then the $3,900 contribution that he mentioned for the movies in the park. Also came from for a recommendation for passage. If there aren't any questions, I'd motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Katie Hedges, seconded by Audrey Lukasak. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend the rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukasak.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Motion for passage by Katie Hedges, seconded by Tom Klitzka. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukasak.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
The ordinance passes.
It is assigned 5/40/2025. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to participate in the ODOT Contract 018-26 for a road salt and declaring an emergency.
Council, you've heard the first reading of this ordinance that come from the Service Committee. Tom?
Thank you, President Keller. We're buying some road salt for this coming winter. We go through the state of Ohio because it's cheaper, and we're authorizing our service director to move forward in that direction.
Motion?
I'll motion to suspend the rules.
Jeff Allen, motion to suspend the rules, seconded by John Moats. Roll call, please.
I thought you had it. I'm sorry.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukasak.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Now we'll go down here.
Move to send to council for our recommendation approval.
Motion for passage by Tom
Passage.
Duval, seconded by Audrey Lukasak. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukasak.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
The ordinance passes.
It is assigned 5/41/2025. An ordinance levying assessments for cutting of weeds and the abatement of nuisance on certain city lots and declaring an emergency.
Council, you've heard the first reading of this ordinance from the Judicial Committee. Tom?
Yes, sir. Thank you. On this, we have a little bit of a problem now. First of all, this rain certainly has added to it, but it's actually 5 properties within the city that the grasses continue to grow and weeds continue to grow and so on. So we're actually going out and basically charging these folks for the work that we have had to do to cut those lawns per se.
That's right. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
There we go. Go ahead.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by John Moats, seconded by Jeff Hallinan. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend the rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukasak.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
I'll make a motion for passage, please.
Motion for passage by Tom Klitzka, seconded by Sherry Tice. Roll call, please.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Blitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukasak.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
The ordinance passes.
It is assigned 5/42/2025.
Thank you.
And that's it for legislation.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. Council, that brings us to the new business portion of tonight's meeting. And tonight we have a guest, or guests, I should say. So if they'd like to come to the podium. Most of you should know Casey Liddy,
President Keller.
Mr. John Edgar. So
Anything else?
Casey, the floor is yours. Welcome to City Council. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Much time as you'd like. And if you, Council, if you remember, the clerk sent out the slides that Casey's going to speak to earlier for you to read and review. Casey, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here, everybody. Nice to see everybody at council. Nice to see all our elected officials. Berger just celebrated our 6th year with Ohio Health as part of the lease agreement. I just celebrated 2 years in the permanent role, so it's nice to be back. I know time flies. I'll go over a couple of things related to the lease, and then just a couple updates about Berger. Let John mention a few comments, and then happy to answer any questions. So if you go to the first slide, the first part of the lease agreement was guaranteeing tax revenue back to the city of Circleville through payroll taxes. As you can see, Berger continues to grow. We continue to grow the tax revenue coming back to the city, and have far exceeded the guarantee of $610,000. So same as last year. We're continuing to grow the workforce there as the community grows around us. We also have satisfied the lease payment back to the city through Mark, and so just both of those continuing on a great track.
Great.
The next slide is a little bit of a different view of the capital. If you remember, there was an original capital commitment to Berger through Ohio Health. We deferred some of those projects because of COVID. It was really hard to build things during COVID when the hospital was pretty much closed down. And so the view this year is projects that we authorized at the end of the lease. So at the end of 2024. So we authorized those projects, but hadn't quite spent all of the dollars. And so these are the projects that relate to what's left. So if you'll see, we had about $12.5 million worth of projects that we authorized as part of the lease agreement, and we continue to spend those down. The biggest part of that is our surgery project that's happening right now. I'll give you a little bit of a preview of that. But if you come to Berger, there are walls up, and we're under construction with that project, and hope to be finished next spring or summer. That'll really improve the patient experience in our surgery areas. And you can see that's the largest part of what's left. Just two things. As we move now into the regular capital cycle with Ohio Health, we're still getting capital funding year over year that just comes in different buckets. So for next year, for instance, we'll get routine capital funds. This year, we got about $1.5 million worth of routine capital funds. We also can tap into larger pools of dollars at Ohio Health. One of those is around critical facilities infrastructure. So think about medical gas and elevators and electrical systems, big things, air handlers and the like. And so we're going to tap into some projects with that to the tune of about $2.5 million. So if you see, we kind of have different buckets of how we're funded, but we're still getting about the same amount of annual funding that we were getting as part of the lease. So continuing to recapitalize Berger and invest in the growth of the organization. So just wanted to bring that to your attention because you'll hear me talk about capital in a little bit different way in future years. If you look at the next slide, just a little peek behind the scenes of what the surgery project is going to look like. So you can see we're basically touching all of the surgery area that you see when you're awake. So before you go under anesthesia and go back to the ORs, everything from the front waiting room all the way through our pre-post. I'm sorry. Go ahead and flip
Which
through.
slide are you on?
The next one.
2 or 3?
One more.
3, 4.
Yep.
Okay.
So on the left-hand side, you'll see all of the parts of the phase construction that we're going to touch over the next year. So we should be done by next summer. We've started on the front waiting room. We finished the first phase of that, which is kind of in the pink. We're now in the brown, finishing the rest of the waiting room and starting on the ORs in the back, and then we'll come through the rest of pre-post. And so what you'll end up with is both the waiting room at the top. So if you've been to Berger, you know that front waiting room is a little bit like Grand Central Station. This will give us a lot more privacy for patients, a better patient experience, and better wayfinding through the front of the hospital. So separated waiting for surgery versus whatever else folks are waiting on. Usually it's just lab or radiology. And then at the bottom, you'll see a preview of what all of pre-post will look like. Hopefully none of you have had to use this, but if you do, today it's curtains separating pre-post. That's not the best patient experience, and it's not Ohio Health standard. So what you'll have at the bottom is 21 walled private rooms in that pre-post area, and we'll be able to take care of both the pre and the post. And today those are a little bit separated at Burger. So much better patient experience and also much better experience for our staff to have everybody in one location, and just a better overall experience and privacy. You'll see on the right just in motion action construction photos. So you can see new flooring, new paint, new ceiling tiles, and you can see some of the brick that you'll see at other Ohio Health locations. That's going to be the entry wall basically into the new waiting area. So that's behind the white sort of construction barriers that we have up there. So you're getting a little bit of a preview. Any questions about that project? We're really excited about that. The team's already, figuring out how we're going to change workflows and just make it work for the patients in the community. So last but not least, just a couple things on recruitment. So as I mentioned last year, we've met the original commitment of 15 and a half physician FTEs into the community. We continue to invest as the community grows around us and we see needs. We continue to look at, through our annual physician workforce plan, where those additional providers need to go. So you'll see a lot of focus on primary care. So another candidate interviewing for Court Street's practice. We have 2 signed that are coming this summer for our Chillicothe primary care and interviewing others. Women's health continues to grow. So we birth about 60% of the babies in Pickaway County and have folks coming from other counties around us to have their OBGYN services at Burger and bring new life into the world. And so we have another female OBGYN joining this summer. Endocrinology was a huge need. We have a lot of diabetics that need service, and a lot of that had to leave the county to get service in Columbus. And so nice to be able to backfill that position and have that service here in Circleville. And then we're also interviewing candidates for an additional cardiologist. Some of you know Lamb and Mudrick up there, and they're in need of a partner. They're very busy. And so we're looking to have additional candidates in cardiology. So I'll pause there for any questions. And then I've just got a couple of general updates of what's going on at the hospital.
Well, appreciate all the effort that Ohio Health has put into our hospital. Thank goodness we were partnered with them during COVID. I don't know if we'd still been open if we weren't, but that was a blessing. And I know nobody lost their jobs during that time.
Nope.
And then to see you continue to put millions of dollars into our facility, as well as hiring new services or bringing additional services to Circleville, it's very much appreciated, Casey.
Well, we're glad to do it, and I wouldn't be here had you not made that choice to be with Ohio Health. So I'm grateful as well. But we are basically the healthcare services in the county and around us, and we see those gaps in the community and want to continue to fill them and meet the needs of the citizens. So. Just a couple other updates. So it is Nurses Week. So if you know a nurse, please thank them for all that they do. A couple updates on our nurses. So Gretchen Roberts, who's our Chief Nursing Officer. So if you see her around, please congratulate her. She's now Dr. Roberts. So she just graduated with her DNP. So continuing to invest in her education and furthering the leadership of nursing at Burger. We were also awarded the Beacon Award for critical care nursing. So you probably don't think of Burger for critical care, but we are improving that service both in terms of our competencies in the nursing staff and partnering with our physicians to increase those services so we can keep more people here. Obviously, the Columbus hospitals are full most of the time, so the more folks we can keep, even if it's ones or twos at a time, that really helps the congestion at the hospitals in Columbus and also helps people stay close to home when they're really sick. Tomorrow is our nursing week breakfast. We'll celebrate our nurses who are advancing their education. We're going to give about $20,000 worth of nursing scholarships tomorrow morning. There's a lot of folks in the community that have donated to that cause. And so just to publicly thank all those folks who support our nursing scholarships. And then one change, one piece of sad news. So Dr. Matt Mason, who was our chief medical officer for the last 3 years, good for him, just got promoted. He's going to be the chief medical officer at Doctors Hospital. And so we're working on his replacement. So we'll have a new lead physician here in the next couple of months, and I'll be sure to introduce that person. So that's it for us. And then John, any comments?
Hi, I'm John Edgar, and I chair the Circleville Pickaway Lease Board. And you have two appointees, David Crawford and Matt Tootle. And one of the things we've been discussing as a board is our usefulness much longer. We met 4 times a year for the first 5 years. This past year, we met twice. As you can hear, Berger is doing very well. I know sometimes you might question why Chillicothe Primary Care is on there, but you wouldn't believe how many people are coming out of Ross County coming to Berger Hospital now. And that office down there next to Lowe's, if you've seen that office, it's promoting Berger Hospital. And rather than those folks going to Columbus, they're coming to Berger. And so it's really helpful, and we're growing, and the capital keeps flowing. And every time I get an opportunity to talk to the CEO, I get a chance to tell him how much we need. And we're a big producer right now for Ohio Health, one of the tops. And so obviously we need something in return. And so we keep asking for more capital money. And the project that Casey was sharing with you is a little bit of that. The question I have for you is, and maybe Barry, maybe a committee of the council would be willing to take it up at some point, is how much longer you believe the board should exist. We probably are talking about meeting once a year just to make sure everything's going well. But as you know, it is going well. I also serve on the governing council for Berger. And so I get to see them 4 times a year also in that meeting. It's going well. We expect it to continue. Some members of our committee believe we ought to abandon ship. Some believe we have a statutory right to keep going as long as this lease exists. So it has 30-year lease. If you don't know that, it is a 30-year lease. The council or the board that exists is really at your will. You could disband it at any time if you choose. And maybe that needs to be a discussion that comes from the city council. We did talk to the commissioners last month, and their belief was they believe we no longer had a real purpose. So that's something that you should consider, and whether or not you want us to continue. That's all I have to say, but I'm answering your questions if you have some.
I'll start by canvassing our 2 board members, Matt Tootle and David Crawford, for their opinions and thoughts to see what they have to say.
I think that's a great thing. Just a funny comment about David. And David says he didn't want any more meetings.
He's probably looking for less.
He's done with meetings.
A lot of meetings in his life. Just for the publics and any of our newer council members, when Ohio Health came in, Berger was jointly owned by the city and the county, and they wanted to lease this 6 years ago. So they made a lot of promises on what they were going to do, how they were going to invest in Berger. And in order to make sure that they fulfilled those promises, we established this board for oversight. So now
Correct.
they've been wonderful in fulfilling their promises. That's why John is saying, do we still need the board?
Correct.
Sure. Well, I will let you know, and we'll get back to
Sure.
you.
We just look for feedback.
It's not an immediate decision have to be made, correct?
It is not. We have another meeting this fall.
This fall, okay.
And so we continue to monitor. We get reports from Casey, and any changes or any issues that come forward, we're aware of them and on top of those. But we just thought we'd bring it to your attention.
Sure. I'll reach out to our 2 board members, John. I know I've told Casey this many times, and I'll say it again publicly. He is always welcome to city council to come and give a report, ask for help, provide information to us. He's always welcome.
Well, the lease requires us to report once a year to the city and to the county. And so that's what we're here tonight to
Sure.
do.
Yep. Any other questions for John or Casey while they're here? Thank both of you for being here. John, thanks for your
Thank you.
service as well. And Casey, thanks for being here.
Thank you for your support.
Counselors, any other new business? If not, motion to adjourn by Jeff Hallinan, seconded by Audrey Lukasak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned at 7:35 PM.